Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Hey Mama. We're doing a little bit of a different spin today. I've got previous guest back, Amanda Loftus, and I want to welcome you first, Amanda. Welcome back. But you've got some really cool and interesting topic that I feel and you feel should be out there, especially because there are other women going through the same thing, and it will help them not feel so alone. It'll help them laugh some things off, hopefully, and might even learn some things as well. So yeah, welcome again, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited actually to talk about this topic. Yeah, we've laughed a lot about it already, so hopefully everybody else will feel the same way.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So you're on this show today because if you haven't caught the previous podcast that we did together, you talked about your career, you talked about being a fourth single mum as a widower, got one girl, you've talked about teenage years with your girl, all that kind of thing, and renovating. And yeah, if you've missed it, please go back and watch it. But you are now single in your 40s and you are out there dating. So tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about what it's like to be in your 40s, a single mum, and dating.
So the first word that comes to mind is horrific. It's horrific, especially when you haven't chosen it. So there's so many of us in this situation, and you wake up in your mid-40s, you've been in a marriage coma for a long time. That's what I like to call it. So you've been, asleep in this relationship, and the whole world's changed. There's now internet dating, and there's different ways of doing things. And the last time I was dating was when I was 20, in my 20s, before I met my husband.
Internet dating was no social media, no Tinder, no any of that. It was just basically you meet someone somewhere at the pub, right?
Or supermarket. I don't know how anyone would ever meet someone at the supermarket. So keen to hear if anyone has ever managed that.
My parents met at the supermarket.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. Oh.
My mum was the checkout chick, and my dad went in there because he knew. And see, that's another thing too. You would know somebody that knew them, then that's how you meet. So he knew her brother, and then spotted her in the checkout chick, and was like, "Wow."
That is a cute story. Would that happen now? That's the funny thing, right?
Yeah, would you think that someone's a creepo if you're working at Woolworths or something like that, and then they come and try and chat you up? Would that be now creepy? But it's not creepy to be online.
Depends on what they're buying, right? Could be super creepy. But it's kind of weird, right? So everything's changed. And when you're in your 20s, you're hot. Your boobs are where they're meant to be. You could wear halter-neck. I used to wear halter-neck tops and white pants, glitter everywhere. I was super hot, and I had no idea of my hotness. So
don't we all? We look back and go,
far out, I was hot. Did I not know that? I should have done 100 nude photos, And then you get to 40-something, and you're like, what? I've got to date someone. I've got to get naked in front of someone I don't know. I've got to kiss someone. Do I remember what to do? And I'm sure there's a many women that would relate to that. They'll be like, oh, I don't know if it works still. What am I going to do?
Does it still happen down there?
Does it still happen? Exactly. Will someone like me? Will I like them? Will we laugh about stuff? If I go on a date, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to wear?
Yep.
And you're surrounded by married people generally when you're in your 40s as well. All your friends are married and they don't get it. You're talking to them and they're like, giving you advice, coming from the same place where you've just come from. Yeah. So that's interesting, and they all mean the best. So I was really lucky, actually. I have a best friend who is also widowed, and we, by some fortunate event, but not so, you know what I mean, serendipitous really, we ended up buying houses next to each other. So she was living on the Sunshine Coast. I was in New Zealand. We both bought townhouses next to each other.
What?
And we both lost our husbands.
Did you decide that, or did that happen?
No, that happened.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, so we call ourselves soul sisters, and so she's a little bit ahead of me. her husband passed away about 2 years before mine did. So she had started dating and she'd had a relationship and things like that. And she said to me, girlfriend, you need to get out there and start meeting some people. You're in a new country. Why don't you give it a go? So that was the very beginning of my adventure. And I'm like very lucky that I have her as my sounding board.
Absolutely. Kind of like a sign from heaven or something, like she was sent to you on purpose, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And we are kindred spirits. You know, we're quite different people, actually. We look different. We are different personality-wise, but we're just perfect together. And we always said we wish that we were into women because we would get married, but we're not.
Easier, wouldn't it? That would just be so much easier.
Yes. And she wouldn't steal my clothes. She's a totally different size to me. But anyway, we had so many laughs. And so she helped me with my profile and showing me how it all worked. And so that's how I first got introduced to internet, like online dating.
Okay. So she was like, all right, today's world, you know, it's not like your 20s. You don't go down to the pub. We go online instead. Or did you try a bit of both?
We actually did a lot of both. So the two of us always had a monthly night out together. So my daughter's old enough to babysit, so she babysitted my friends' children, and the two of us would go out anyway for dinner and dancing and have a great time, actually. So we did meet a lot of guys that way. But I think internet dating, you're filtering specifically on what you're looking for. You're trying to attract and, you know, almost repel the people that you don't want to be with and try and have a better chance of finding the person that you do want to be with. But it's luck of the draw either way. That's what I've worked out. So the first date that I had actually was a total disaster. I left my phone in the Uber. And the guy that I was with freaked out. He was a dentist, actually, and he was very... you know, quite a structured sort of guy, and he couldn't handle the fact I was so relaxed that my phone had just gone off on an Uber. And I said, that's all right.
Yeah, you got to see, you know, like what it would be like in a stressful situation, huh?
Yeah, and he said, you're way too relaxed. And I said, well, look, I've dealt with way worse things in my life than leaving my phone in the Uber. So that was a really good first date, actually. And then after that, I sort of dated different guys. It's really weird. I'd sort of put out there, look, next I want to meet somebody like this. And then that person would actually come along. So every single guy I dated was so different. No one's comparable at all. And I dated, the next guy after that, I dated for a little bit longer. And he was a really interesting guy. He came from the same country as me. He lived in Australia for a long time, but he said to me after we dated for a while, look, you're not actually normally physically the same type of woman that I'd normally go for. And he had a bit of a chat with me one day. I noticed he was a bit quiet, and he said, you know, if you're willing to get a trainer and work out for 3 months, maybe we could take a break and I'll give you a call in 3 months. Serious.
Man, I remember the first, like when you told me that story at first, and I was like, what an asshole.
Total asshole. My mum had actually the C word for this guy, and she never swears. So there you go. She was like, what a C word? And I was like, interesting, mum, but yeah. So, and this is funny. This is the guy also, he took me out on a date once, and we were out near a pier, and he said, I'm just going to go over here and take a look at the view. And then he let out this giant fart, which I could hear.
Oh, no. So this is like, so how far away was he?
Probably like 4 meters away. And he looked at me and he goes, oh, did you hear that? And I'm like, I could taste that. I just didn't hear that. Yes. He was revolting. And so
That's so revolting. Like, so how long did you date him for? And how long did you date him after the fart?
Oh, after the fart, gone, burger. Yeah.
What was
thanks,
done?
but no thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, you got to wait a few years. Even then, I'm like, oh, don't really like it.
It's just incredible. I thought to myself, you're a guy that told me to go and improve myself to be better for you. Yeah. When actually I'm enough how I am. If you don't like how I am, I'm actually okay with that. But yet, look at how you behave. And so This is the thing with dating.
Did he have that conversation with you before the fart or after the fart? Yeah, it's
Before
important.
the fart. Yeah.
Before the fart. Okay, he had that conversation with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Next. Yeah, sure. And then after that, so I dated quite a few different guys, and what I worked out is a lot of the guys were recently out of marriages, like within 6 months, right? I was a year and a half, almost 2 years out of my marriage.
You've done some work. Yeah.
Yeah, I did some work. I focused on myself. I wanted to process everything that had happened. But I was also coming from a very different place, right? A lot of these men, we're still going through financial separation, custody arrangements with their children, with their ex-partners. Their ex-partners found them on Tinder or somewhere because they were obviously on there too. So there was a lot of conflict. I dated one guy for 4 months actually, who I really liked, but his ex-wife was sending, horrible messages about me. She had a friend that saw us out somewhere and took a photo, and I was like, this is really weird. Like, I don't have this kind of drama in my life.
Well, you don't. Yeah.
And I came from a place of being loved. So I wasn't from a relationship that broke down because I didn't want to be with somebody. And that's a really different mindset. So I was super confident and I thought I was an amazing catch. I'm a great woman. I was married for 15 years, My husband would happily write me a reference, Mother-in-law and everyone else too, yeah. And so to meet these guys where they had such a terrible impression of women was really challenging for me. I was like thinking, you have your differences, but where's the maturity? And there's so much anger, and it really was quite difficult. And so what I decided off the back of that was I wouldn't date anybody who hasn't got custody arrangements in place, doesn't have their financial settlement completed, isn't living in their own place, not necessarily owning their own place, but that sort of thing. The other thing I came across was a lot of men really intimidated by my career, and you and I talked about this last time.
Yes,
women.
Yes, I've got a friend that is afraid to tell a guy when she first meets them, and she's nearly 40, but she's single, and she is afraid to tell a man her occupation, which is a doctor, and she's a specialist as well. So she sort of holds back for a little while because they get intimidated. And
I'd agree. I see why people do that. And isn't that sad? As a woman, you should be able to own who you are, because that's what makes you attractive, I guess, but also it's authentic, And so a lot of people don't authentically date. They lie about their age, whether they've got children or not, what they do for a living. I've had several men say to me, "Oh, you've got way more money than me. I don't feel comfortable with that at all."
Okay, yep.
So I thought, well, I haven't been through a divorce and lost half of everything.
Yeah.
So people have got to understand that. And I've obviously invested in property and done other things, which I think is clever. Why would you not want to be with someone who's clever? But you see, it's just because they're not the right person. And that's the whole thing. Out of all of this, I've realised, you remember the movie Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere? It's such a great movie. And she has this whole thing about eventually working out what types of eggs she wants for breakfast in the morning, because every partner she had, she would just eat what they had.
Yeah, okay. Like making the decision on based on them.
Correct. And so that happens when you start dating. You will mold yourself to try and fit in with somebody else and work out, you'll try it on and go, is this the sort of guy I could imagine myself with? And, this is what he likes to do. Do I like doing that too? And at the end of it, I thought, you know what? I need to work out who I am dating.
Definitely. And I think women in their 40s or late in like 30s, 35 and onwards, they want that instead. But when we're in our 20s and stuff, we're conditioned. I think as we were growing up as girls, we were conditioned to mold and bend and shape if you want to be in a relationship. And we talked about this before as well. Like, the most important thing at one stage was getting a boyfriend. Me and my girlfriend talked about this the other. We're both married with children, but we talked about this the other day. Like, wow, when we were 18, 19, why did we think it was so important to have a boyfriend? like we should have just been having so much fun with our friends and finding out who we were.
Absolutely. And that's the whole adventure of doing this, right? You know,
Yeah.
I look around and I see people who meet, you know, single women meet guys and end up in relationships really quickly. And I think, well, why have I not met somebody? And then I think, actually, I could have had relationships with 5 people I dated, but I actually chose not to.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I did that work on myself, I actually wrote a bit of a manifestation man list. And the reason why I did that was I actually
manifestation man list. I love that.
It is so good. And I think it works. And I'll tell you why. So before I met my husband, Mike, I wrote down, I would have been about 22. And my mum is all into Louise Hay's and every book under the sun. So when I was a teenager, I grew up on that stuff. And she would give them to me to read in my 20s in particular. Yep. So she gave me this book and it had a big impact. And I wrote on a piece of paper with like a highlighter from work, I think, all the things I was looking for in a partner, because I really wanted to meet someone. And I put it behind a photo in my bedroom. And then years later, like probably about 2 years later, 3 years later, I was living with my husband and we were just living together at that stage. And I opened the back of the photo and there was a list and I'd completely forgotten all about it. Wow. And on the list, he was everything on the list.
There you go. That's the power of manifestation. But you can extend it now. You should write up a manifestation man list. I mean, I might even help you out there, like at the end of this.
A how to do it. We should definitely do that.
To write a manifestation man list.
Because it does help when you're dating, because you can go back to that list and benchmark off it. And I know that sounds really dry. However, when you get physically involved with somebody, it completely changes your perspective on everything. So before I started dating, I wrote this list, and every time I date someone now, I kind of go back to the list and go, you know, is this what I'm looking for? And some of the things that I think are not helpful, I have seen a lot of lists around. How tall somebody is, what color hair they have, what color eyes they have. Really, what's missing off that list is how somebody will make you feel.
Definitely. Like if there's the instant attraction, or there's that attraction there, do they make you feel comfortable to be yourself, to open up? But their connection is their connection.
Yeah, can you have fun? Can you talk? So there is a thing that I've learned. So if you don't see yourself having 10,000 dinners with somebody. So could you think about that? If you met somebody, oh, could I have 10,000 dinners with this guy?
That's a good one.
If it's a no, then they're not for you. So if you're dating someone for 2 or 3 months and you can't even think about the concept of that, there's a reason for that.
Sure. And I think we all need to be a little bit more picky like that when you are dating. Now let's talk about like the physical stuff, all right? So how long did you wait, or did you do you have a first date, like a third date rule and all that kind of thing? So in your 20s, girls talk about, oh, I don't kiss, or I don't, we don't have sex or anything until the third date, like rules like that. Do you have rules like that when you're dating?
I made my rules up as I went along, which was really interesting. So I've learned a lot from those, and I started off very platonic, and then I worked out physical traction is a big thing, and at making sure that you're physically compatible at our age is a really important thing, right? Because you have to have that connection, the intimacy and the connection. So,
is that harder? Did you say it's harder?
I think it is, because there's so much other stuff going on. When you're in your 20s, right, you're just looking to mate and have children and build a life. The hormones are raging, and that's what you're looking for. When you already have children and you have a mortgage and you have a job, and some people have ex-partners and stresses, sometimes it's just a physical release. I think it's different. You're not looking for the fairy tale sometimes, or you are. So you've got to work that out as you go. And for me, I was intimate with different people because I wanted to make sure it all worked for a start and that I hadn't forgotten anything. Because I think you do need to get some confidence back. And if my
So
mum's
have a little
watching
bit of a
this,
trial and a warm up and
yeah, and I think the key for that is to not take it too seriously, right? If you
yeah,
want to do that, that's your
sure.
business. You don't have to tell people. Don't even tell your friends about it. Just do what you want to do. And if you have a connection with somebody at the time, just because you have that, it doesn't mean they want to have a relationship with you. You really have to be clear about that in your mind.
You kind of have to put a little bit of a wall up, right?
I think so. I think you have to be emotionally responsible. That's my biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't overinvest in somebody. You've got to let them invest in you. The physical thing is just the physical thing until it becomes more than that. So, being intimate with someone, don't hope they're going to have a relationship with you, because they may not. And be cool with that. Otherwise, don't do it if you can't.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's things that we're wiser when we're older with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what was it like for you the first time that you were intimate with somebody else after your husband?
It was really great at the time, and then afterwards it hit me like a ton of bricks, honestly. I felt really guilty. I felt like I cheated on my husband. He told me to go out and find a hot stud and have fun, and we were best friends, so he wanted me to be happy, and he, towards the end of our relationship, we couldn't have intimacy for years because he was unwell. And he knows I'm a sexual woman, and that's just how I am. That's part of physical touch, is probably one of my love languages, pretty high up. So I need that physical contact. But for me, and it's really interesting, you're almost kind of trying to hide all the bits that you don't want someone to see. And men are very visual. So they like to have lights on or curtains open or in the middle of the day. And often when you've got children, you're not like having this big romantic candlelit, session.
In the middle of the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like just whenever you can get the time, and when it might not be like the most romantic
when the kids
situation.
Are at school and you've got a day off work.
But it's super hot. It can be super hot. But I think body confidence is everything. So if you don't have it, and one guy I dated, actually, I sound like I've dated a lot of guys. I haven't dated like 50 guys, everyone. It just sounds like that. Yeah. I dated one guy, and he said to me, I noticed that you were a little bit self-conscious about a few things. And he said, I just wanted to let you know that I actually didn't notice that until you pretty much pointed it out to me.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't unsee it,
How guys are not attention to detail. Yeah. Until you point something out. Yeah.
Correct. And so although we freak out and we think, all these things about our bodies, because women do, men don't see it at all. They really don't. So my advice is get into it and do it. And
so was that the first time that you were intimate, is where you tried to hide things and he noticed that, or was it further down the track?
Further down the track, actually. And it was after that guy commented about my body not being up to scratch. Because honestly, before that, I thought I had an amazing body. I'm curvy, but I was very fit at the time. And I thought, you know what? I feel great. If my husband was alive, he'd be chasing me around the place, pitching my bum and grabbing everything. And this guy, actually, I didn't realize at the time, he had an impact on me. So literally the 2 or 3 guys after that, I was a little bit self-conscious, and it took, I had to work on that, and I had to work out, why did that really trigger me? Why do I care about what that guy said?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why did it matter what one person says? But, like we know, people can say 20 positive things about us, but one person says something negative and it's stuck in our head and we obsess over it.
Totally. And the thing is too, I had started to put on a little bit of weight after that, just due to so many different things. COVID, not being vaccinated, couldn't get to the gym, renovating, working full-time virtually, like long hours, having a child. And I just had to accept that, you know what, I'm not perfect at the moment. And that's okay. And I'm working on it, and I will get it back, and I'll be snatched everywhere. But in the meantime, if I choose to be intimate with somebody, then I've got to then accept that this is how my body is. Yeah. I found that organically dating for me was a lot less pressure because somebody had actually physically seen me first.
Yes. So organically, you mean by going out somewhere?
Yeah, meeting someone through, you know, an event or a friend or work or whatever, but they've actually seen you and then they become interested in you. Opposed to internet dating where they see all these photos and, you know, they build up, honestly, a story in their heads about what you're like. Yeah. And then you meet them and you're, you know, if you don't have enough photos to show people what you actually look like, they can have a distorted view of you, and you turn up and they're like, oh, you're not what I thought you were, or whatever. So you've got to be really careful.
Are you the same though? Do you create a story about what this person may be like, and then when you meet them, have you ever gone, oh, you look different from your photos? Or
I've only had that once actually. Yeah. I think I'm just because of my career, I'm really good at screening people. So if I'm talking to people, I'll ask them, you know, a reasonable amount of questions to kind of get an idea of what they're interested in and what they're looking for and all that sort of thing. And I always do a phone call. I do a phone call for like 10, 15 minutes. I've
heard of this. It's like what we call it. We laugh about it. It's called like a pre-qualification, like a pre-qualified call. And my friend does it as well now. She'll get on the phone for 5 minutes or something. She might have a series of questions. And then she'll be able to tell, like, by the voice and what they say, where she goes, yeah, or okay, you know, I might give this a shot.
Exactly, because, you know, the reason why it's good to do that is you don't want to be sitting across having a coffee or a glass of wine or dinner with somebody and there's no chemistry, even just as a friend, right?
Yeah.
So
as a bit of a waste of time.
It's a waste of their time too. And people invest. I also learned another really key thing. Don't message too much and forge this really strong connection, because when you do meet somebody, if the chemistry is not there, somebody will get hurt. Yeah. It'll be you or be them. So
okay. So you just message like basic communication?
Yeah, you just want to create a connection with them on a friendship level first. A lot of guys will try and get sexual, like especially Tinder, like we can talk about all the different dating sites in a second. But yeah. So they are all very different.
Yeah. So sexting. So they're already trying to do some sexting before they actually. Dick pics. Yeah, let's talk about these dick pics. I've only ever received one dick pic in my life, and and I was like, why? How many have you received?
Oh, lots and lots and lots and lots, and not just through dating, online. Like, so obviously when I do coaching and things like that online, I get so many of them, and so I was kind of known through my friends who are also online coaches. I'm like the coach with the dick pics. Everybody knows. Like, what? You're getting dick pics and I'm not? Like, what are you doing?
Why? Yeah, what are you doing?
What's wrong with me? Like, and I was like, hey, look, you can have them. I will zip those photos up and I will send you the whole thing. But yes, some of the dicks didn't match the people either, which was quite funny.
They didn't match.
No, I was like, the carpet doesn't match the curtains at all.
Yeah. And so that's the thing too. You got to wonder, are they getting one off the internet and is posting, you know, like people can just grab a photo off the internet and say, hey, this is me. They can also do that with dicks now, right?
Totally. I've had videos. I've had guys send me videos of all sorts of things. It's just horrendous.
Videos?
So, yeah.
What kind of videos are they sending you?
Videos of them having fun with themselves. And I had no idea, like you'll open it up and you'll be like, oh my God.
Is this on WhatsApp? Because I've heard about this on WhatsApp, and one of my friends, she's not single anymore, sorry. But yeah, she was on WhatsApp and she deleted it because she got a video like that.
Yes, it does come through there. Any channel, sometimes if you exchange numbers with them, they would do that, or Messenger, they'll send it on Messenger. Yeah.
Messenger on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So you just have to be aware of that sort of stuff. You know, look, that sort of stuff does happen between people. So if you're dating somebody and you want to do that, that's between the two of you. However, there's a lot of unsolicited stuff like that comes through. So it's worth a laugh, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever been tempted to save it and post it?
Send them to you, though, and you can post them.
Someone would know them, and it could go viral. Like,
I would hate that. And my top tip is, if you are going to send anything like that, never put your face in it. If you're going to send your boobs to someone, or you're going to send anything like that, don't put your face in anything. Never.
Yeah.
Because it could come back and haunt you at some point. So,
and the same as Snapchat and things that are like, deleted after a minute or so. Like, it's quite easy to snapshot.
Oh, exactly. So you've got to be savvy about these types of things, and it's easy to get drawn into all that stuff when it's all new and you're trying to find yourself and you're thinking about your sexuality again, and you haven't for like 10 years probably, or 15, 20 years, there's all these things that come up that when you're 20, you probably would have done. When you're in your 40s and you've got kids in the background or someone knocking on the door for something, Mom, you're probably not going to want to do that. Or if you do, just be smart about it.
And so what are the things that you've learnt over this year of dating? It was a year, right?
Yeah. So I haven't been dating actually since probably about April this year properly. I actually did meet someone organically that I was dating on and off for quite a long time, actually, probably about 8 months. So I took a break. So the thing I learned about dating, if you're going to do online dating, only do it for 3 to 4 months at a time. Because the people on there pretty much are the same. You could go on and off for a year and there'll still be sometimes the same people on there. You're going to meet the best people first, probably in the first, 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. After that, it can just be a lot of the people that you're not interested in. If you're doing internet dating, make sure that you write a profile that's really authentic and say very straight up what you're looking for. Because you want to repel the people that you don't want to date and you want to attract the people that you are. So be really clever. If you're not getting, many people messaging you, look at what you've written and change it, because it takes a few times to refine it. It's like a second job, I tell you.
Oh yeah, I can that's what it sounds like to me, like writing up a resume kind of thing. And you just, and people never know what to write. So get your friends to help you write it and make it funny and fun, but, also include what's important. Go for coffees and drinks with people. I wouldn't do a dinner straight away, because you're invested in an hour to 2 hours. And if there's no connection, that's really hard amount of time to. Yeah. I mean, you could always do like the emergency call or something like.
Well, we have a code called Peaches. So if you text Peaches, one of the girls will call you and say that your child is sick. Yeah.
So that is like a tip, right?
Yes. And, don't go to people's houses. Make sure you meet them in public and things like that, because they will invite you. They will invite you to. And that's a booty call. That's not a
movie, like Netflix
and chill.
Yeah.
Well, I never knew what that was. I had to learn what that meant. I thought that actually meant watch the Netflix, because
I watch a movie and obviously they're trying to, like, if something happens after the movie or something. But I learned that just the other day, that what Netflix actually means.
There you go. I see. No, it's wasted on all of us. We have no idea. The other thing too.
Yeah, go.
Oh no, I was just going to say, with online, there's a lot of online dating tips as well. Yes. I reckon find one person. And so I follow Matthew Hussey. He's a British guy. He gives really good dating advice, actually. There's not a lot of coaches or online dating stuff for people in their 40s. It's all 20s, and Yeah, there's not that much. So just try and find someone credible and just follow one person or two people, like not
So there's dating
everything.
coaches out there, is what you're saying, like on Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook,
Oh,
Instagram. Yeah, they
yeah,
have blogs, a lot of them. So
yeah,
Matthew Hussey is the one that I found that has really good advice. And he has psychology behind it as well. So he gives some really good tips and tricks
yeah.
and
And does he
things to
come
think
from
about.
like personal experience and stuff? Because I
Yeah.
feel that these kinds of things like coaches, online coaches and stuff, whatever it is, they have to have some kind of experience. Like you can go to a really fully qualified psychologist or something that they've done all the work on paper, but have they had the life experience to be able to help you and your individual problems, or issues that you're having, or
So
guidance
true. Well, there's a lot of dating coaches who are single. So that to me, and they haven't ever been married for a long time either. And I don't think that's overly helpful for people of our age.
Yeah, is it just about dating, or are they trying to help people get into long-term relationships? Because there could be either. It's like how to play the game, or like there could be all
Really?
different kinds of things. I remember that movie Hitch.
I love that movie. It's actually,
How to get the girl, or how to get the girl, like because you're in love with her, or you want a relationship. Like there can be one for each of those.
so it's really interesting that you say that. It reminds me of all the things I've read about this. I'm going to teach you how to send the most amazing text messages so he will fall in love with you. And it's like, if you can't,
I've seen those things come up. Yeah.
and it's very manipulating, quite polarizing. If you can't just be yourself with somebody and that's enough, then they're not the right person for you. That sounds so brutal, but it really is the truth. Don't be emotionally responsible. Like if someone is not vibing with you, you've just got to move on, and it's not personal.
That's where you've had to, like you talk about doing the work first. You've done some work over that year and a half. You wanted to heal, like feel and heal and process things that have happened to you before you go out there. So that's like another tip, I suppose, from you, is that you need to do the work first before you start dating, because it's not fair to the other person.
And we're time poor, right? So you don't want to spend all your time learning while you're dating. And there's a certain element of that too, right? So you've got to realize also, if you get your heart broken and you put yourself out there, you're going to be fine.
Yes.
You're going to feel terrible for a week or 2 weeks or 3 days or however long it takes, but you will bounce back.
Yeah. If you've done some work on yourself and that love, like we talked about before we hit record button, like we're both wearing pink today, and that unconditional love for yourself, no matter what, like, you have a dickhead guy say something about you and your body, but you love you, like that. If you've done the work on yourself and you love yourself, then you can brush that kind of stuff off.
Absolutely. And the other thing too I learned is, I started dating multiple guys, like coffees and a glass of wine, and not being intimate with them.
Yeah.
It was really hard to juggle that because their personalities and their lives almost mesh together. You can't really get a true sense of somebody. So when you come across someone you really like, it doesn't matter whether they're dating multiple people, but for yourself, it's a good idea not to just date them.
That's your rule, is that you just date one at a time? Date multiple?
I do now. I'll talk to multiple people if I was, internet dating. Organically, it's a bit different because you only meet really one person at a time, you see. But I really think that's important. You just need the space to get to know somebody and pick up, what they're like, and have time to ask them questions, and just everything resonates a bit more rather than juggling guys.
Juggling guys. Have you done that before though? You've juggled? And you found that was just a bit too much for you?
Oh, I should have known, because in my 20s I flatted with 3 girls, right? And we lived in an amazing sort of townhouse right in the city, and which they said to me, I came from a small town, they said, you need to go out and date. And I went, okay, all right. So I did, and I was dating about 3 guys at one time, platonically, going out for dinners and things like that. And they said, how's the dating going? How many dates have you got? about 5 dates lined up this week, and they were like, we just met one guy, 5. You're such an overachiever. I was like, I just, wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
That was complicated. The same thing happened in my 40s. The same thing. Just too many at once is not a good thing at all. You don't have time for it either, and it's hard to keep up with everybody's individual lives and their situations and backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
And if you become more attracted to one over the others, that changes everything too. So
got to make that decision there. So let's talk about the actual dating apps. What are they? Like, I mean, I only really know Tinder, and I think I've heard of Bumble or something, but I also don't know. Like, so the other day when we were watching, there was an ad that came up about, there was an ad and the chick on the ad said, I think it might have been for Love Boat or something. And it was, if I met him in person, I would have swiped right. So is it you swipe left or right if you like them? Like,
it's left if you're not interested, and right confirm.
Right.
So you can accidentally do that. I've accidentally swiped on people before and matched with them, and then they'll message me, and I'm like,
yep, sorry, didn't actually like you.
Sorry. You seem lovely, but no, thank you.
My finger slipped.
So there's Tinder, there's Bumble, which Bumble's such a terrible name. It doesn't really
Tinder,
say.
Is it more of a? I found that Tinder, it seems like more of a hookup. Is that right? I've heard that it's more of a hookup than looking for relationships. True or not?
No, I don't think so. To be fair, I think it is a mixture. So if you could imagine this, Tinder is like every bar in Australia in one city.
Okay.
So when you go into Tinder, you're seeing the mass population. So if I put my profile up, I would have over 1,000 likes in a day from guys. So I've got to flick through 1,000 profiles and read, and then every day. So you've got every type of person is on Tinder. They could be a farmer, they could be an electrician, they could be a businessman, they could be.
Can you put your area in, or?
Yeah, even that though. So like even Brisbane or Queensland. Yep. There's a lot of people on there, right?
Wow.
And you can put in your age demographic, you can put everything in, but you can't filter by profession or physical attributes or anything like that. You can just say no smoker, religion, all these other things, right?
Yep.
So that's Tinder. Bumble tends to be a different kind of platform. So on Tinder, guys can message you, you can message them, you can like them, they can like you. Bumble, you can like people, they can like you, but you as the woman have to respond first, and you have 24 hours to do that. So what I find is a lot of guys on Bumble will match with lots of women.
Yeah, anyone, everyone.
Because it takes so long for some women to come back to them.
Yeah.
So, and there's a mixture. There's some of the guys on Tinder are on Bumble, and then they're also on Hinge. So Hinge is the other one, which is kind of like an emerging app. That's my favorite one, I would say. Yeah, Hinge, yeah. So the reason why I like that one is you can put up a video, you can put your favorite music on there. It actually prompts you to ask really cool questions. What's the craziest thing you've ever done? Or it really is more personality focused.
Yeah, getting to know the actual person. Oh, hey, I'm into that too.
And it just seems to be a different demographic of person on there. And for me, I like guys who, are professional or successful, that sort of thing. They tend to be on that app more. And also on Bumble.
Yeah. I was going to ask, is Tinder and Bumble more of the 20s people, or is everyone?
Everyone still, but just everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas Hinge seems to be a bit more professional, creative.
More sophisticated, a little bit more classy.
Yeah, I would say so. I've met some lovely guys on Hinge actually. Yeah, really lovely guys, and they've had their lives, they've had their shit together a bit more, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I would say that the Hinge is a little bit more of the classy, Yeah,
definitely.
More.
And there's less people on there though. So you'll meet someone within 4 to 6 weeks after that, because they have a different algorithm with that one where they match you with who they think is best for you based on who you've matched with. And they all do that to a degree but you can miss out on people on Hinge. Like, they won't come up through your feed. The other thing is, a lot of people lie about their age. I don't. I put my actual age, but what I worked out, so I'm 46 now. I know I look 30. No, I'm joking.
You look fantastic. Your skin is beautiful.
Thank you. Guys my age, though, are looking for women who are at least 7 to 10 years younger than them.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a lot of guys in their early 50s to mid 50s who, to me, look really old.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't found a fit, young-minded guy that fits, and I'm open to different ages. Like, I'll date slightly younger and older for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the other thing in your 40s. You know, you can. So I've got girlfriends that are on there who lie about their age. They say they're 5 years younger than they actually are.
But yeah, that happens even before internet dating. I've had guys lie to me about their age before as well. Like, and I just think, why? Like, you're gonna find out eventually, or is it just for a hookup? Like, if you want to lie about your age just for a hookup, yeah.
It's a funny thing. I think people just get really sensitive, but guys do it too. So it's not just the woman.
Oh yeah,
Men
yeah.
do it. Yeah. So like, I've got a friend that he says he's a lot younger than he is, and he looks the age he says he is. He's very young looking.
Yeah, so that's why he does it, obviously.
Yeah, and he wants to date someone younger. But that's another thing to look out for. So the apps are all really good. I just feel like you still have to try and be authentic. Don't play the game.
Yeah. Like we're a bit beyond the games now.
Yeah, just be who you are and be straight up and be brutal. Like, if people are not fitting into, what you're looking for, say thanks, you seem really lovely, but no, like, I'm not feeling this, or I'm looking for something different, and say it quickly. Don't ghost people. Kind of treat people how you would want to be treated yourself. Yes. That's how I would say. And
in person as well. There's a really great reel that's gone around, and it would be if people acted the way that they act on online, on social media, right? And it's so funny. There's two people sitting across from each other, and one would just ignore what he said, how people ghost. So that's like the ghosting, and and then the emoji faces. So that one person would say something and he would emoji, and it's such a great reel. So yeah, it's a good tip, right? Is act as if you are interacting with them in a personable way.
Yeah, and if you want to really have a relationship with someone, don't hook up with them.
Yeah.
Don't, go for what people describe as the high value dates, and don't play the games around treat them mean, keep them keen. We were sort of taught that all
Definitely.
in your 20s, all that methodology. If you want to text message someone, message them. If you have an issue with something, if you don't get a
response, take it as a clear sign and move on. Yeah.
The best things I've seen out there is if someone is into you, they will make you know that they're into you.
I was just about to talk about that. He's just not that into you, or she's just not that into you. They'll make clear signs. If not, just move along.
Yeah, and it's not personal. They don't know you that well. It would be a bit different if it was someone you'd been with for 6 months and they started ghosting you,
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too, just back to organic dating. So this is a difference, right, between internet dating and organic dating. Organic dating, you're meeting them in person. Often you're starting out as friends. Like, how do you go from being friends to being intimate or something more? Even though you have a great connection, you have heaps in common, that's really hard. Yeah. I've struggled with that the most, I would say.
Who makes the first move kind of thing?
Yeah, because men won't. They won't do it. No, they don't now, because, of everything that's happened around the world with men, physically.
And all of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So they won't do it now.
The first thing that I thought of when you said that they won't do it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a woman, does that mean that you have to put yourself more out there? So everybody talks about the masculine man and this is what you need to look for. And as a woman, you can't be assertive. You have to let the man show the interest, and it's a lot. It's a lot to consider. It's how about you just yeah, make a move on someone. You have to make it really clear, I think, to someone that you're into them.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you do if what would be a message to make it really clear, like that you would, kind of, make the touchy or?
I think so. I think just a little bit of physical contact, touching hands, or you just need to see how they physically respond around you.
Yeah.
If they want to be in your personal space as well, I find that if they physically connect with you, they will want to be close to you or whatever. You can actually just say to them too, like, I think if you spend enough time with someone, like 4 or 5 times that you see them, you can say to them, hey, look, you're actually pretty cool. I didn't expect. Yeah, I'm super into you. I just thought I'd let you know that. It's fine if you don't feel the same way. And I know a lot of women will be like, oh, really?
No, this is important. No, this is important because I pulled a card today and one of them was communication. So I think you just nailed the message here today was, I think, like if men are worried about making a move and vice versa or whatever, I think we all have to be open, like you're talking about being open and authentic and putting it out there. So you do, if you have a couple of dates and you say, look, I'm into you, are you into me? Like, because you don't have a lot of time to waste or you don't want to waste time, I think that's a really, like, communication, be open. And then the other person has an opportunity to say, you know what, I just see you as a friend, or you know what, I feel the same. No games.
Exactly, no games, and communicate. Everyone communicate more. Physical, it's not, physical is a good way to communicate. Like you say though, with consent, right? That's what everybody's concerned about now.
Yeah, so that's why we're talking about
use your words.
Use your words. Yeah, don't worry about like the, is he touching me or is he getting in my space and stuff. Maybe we need to not worry about that. Maybe we need to all just be so frank with each other and say, hey, like, this is what I feel. How about you? If not, thanks. Move along. If so, great.
And you staying friends. This is the other thing. I've met a lot of guys who I've developed great friendships with.
Yeah.
However, I've just culled a lot of friendships because what I realized is there's still a connection there, whether we're friends or not, and that's taking up space in my life. Still messaging. They're still interested in what I'm up to and how I'm feeling and what I'm going through. How's your work? How's your daughter? How's everything? And you're still connected in that way. I have found it really freeing to say, you know what? If you don't want to take me out on a date and this isn't romantic, I've got an amazing circle of friends.
Yeah.
I'm really
looking for more friends.
Yeah, and I really care about you as a person. But unless we're dating, call me if you want to take me on a date.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. So I think to wrap up this whole conversation today is about the communication and being openness and being open and authentic. Going into this dating world. Yes. And not take it too seriously, maybe.
Absolutely, and it takes time. Hey, it's not a race. You can't rush it. And I am the world's most impatient person. I would love to meet the man of my dreams now and be married and, have someone to hug and love every day and do cool stuff with. It's just not that easy when you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It just takes time.
Let's finish it off with your manifestation man list. What's on there?
Well, it's changed a few times. So I'll keep it very brief though. It started off being, I wanted a man that I could travel with, a man who was entrepreneurial, a man who I liked a bit of a silver fox, and someone that's
raising there,
somebody that's very fit because I want to have a lifestyle like that. So I want to be with somebody that has that in their world. Even though I'm not 100% there, it's aspirational, right? I'm looking for someone to build a life with, someone who's creative. Now, creativity is the one thing that I can't negotiate on. Because I want someone I can design things with and discuss things and,
connect with that sort of passion.
Yeah, because that's a big part of who I am. What else was on my list? Yeah, someone who obviously has a career and loves people, kind, but it was more about how someone makes me feel. So I wanted someone who sees me and knows the things that make me amazing and how I can make them feel amazing about themselves too. So you're stronger together, like that kind of connection.
Like, you lift each other up. You lift each other up, and you want that other person to be better, so you support them. Yeah, I get that.
And someone into personal growth, you know. And the big thing for me is believing in something that's bigger than yourself. So whatever that means for that person, it might not be something specifically like religion or spirituality, but something that's important to them. Yeah. So that's my list. Handsome, funny, kind, you know.
Yeah, driven.
Just what every woman wants. Driven. Yeah. So I am attracting those men, which is great. I think sometimes maybe I'm just not quite ready. I don't know. I'm waiting for someone just to come along. And
I was going to say, like, when you are ready, then that'll happen, I think, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out. We've had a really long conversation about it, and I've loved it. It's been so enlightening and also like humorous. So I want to thank you for being so open and vulnerable as well.
Well, thanks for having me, and I just hope that there'll be women out there that will get something out of it, and just to know that they're not alone. We all go through this. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Mama. You can find all the relevant links, including socials, in the description section of this podcast. If you want to find out more information about how I can help you build your best body after babies, then visit my website, www.thefitmummethod.com, for more info. Lastly, before you leave here today, if you've enjoyed listening, then please subscribe and share so you can help me to reach out to those mamas that also need to listen too.